Welcome everyone. My name is Sonia and I'm part of the product team here at Totra. I'm joined by Chloe today, who will be talking to us about seminars and all the work we've done to date. This webinar is a part of a series of product webinars that we've designed to show our partners a little bit about the work we've been doing on the different products and features so far. The goal here is to enable you all to prepare for our major release and to let you know as much information as possible so you can be better equipped to inform your subscribers about what's coming up in the next release. I'm sure you'll share some of these details with potential customers and current subscribers, but on the whole, these webinars are designed for partners and we ask that they're just kept to the partner network only. I'll just go through some housekeeping before Chloe gets started. Questions are all welcome in the comments and we'll be keeping an eye on those throughout the webinar. Chloe and I will address them as we go, and if we can't answer all the questions or we can't provide a solid response, we'll be able to get them answered after the webinar instead. This webinar is going to be recorded today to ensure that all partners are able to access the same information even after the webinar is finished as well. We'll be posting a link to the recording within the partner area of the community. So with this recording, we'll open up a partner discussion forum specifically about this webinar today, and some of the questions might be added to the FAQ pages as well. So if you don't already, please subscribe to the product updates forum, as this is the easiest way for all of the product managers to speak directly to partners on an ad hoc basis and for us to engage with you. So I'll let you get started, Chloe.
Okay, just a quick introduction for those who don't know me. I'm Chloe Leon and I'm product manager here for the Totra mobile app. But I've also been working on a few other projects within Totra Learn, and in that capacity today we'll be discussing some of the improvements we've added to the seminar attendance tracking. Of course, we all know that there's a lot to seminars as a module, and we've made a number of changes on that front. But today we're going to focus just on the scope of work that was involved in session and event attendance tracking improvements, and some other things that we'll address in the future will be in another webinar. So I'd just like to try and keep it as focused as possible just on this project. So let's get stuck in. So there are definitely a number of common challenges that we came across when researching and through our own experiences as well, that it's quite difficult at the moment to track multi-session events, especially those that are running for a longer period of time with many dates and sessions. So we've tried to address that challenge. There's an authorized non-attendance, which it was difficult to differentiate between those who didn't show up for a good reason and those who were not in attendance just because they didn't show up. For instance, if somebody has last minute sickness or a work duty they're called that they have to come out of training to cover a shift or something like that, there wasn't a way to differentiate those in reporting. Also, something that we thought was quite interesting as well, that we know that we can mark fully attended and partially attended, grade of 100, grade of 50, but there's no way to really track attendance versus competence, so we've addressed that. Also, bulk attendance via CSV, where attendance tracking is centralized as well. So I'd like to make sure that we help out with that, along with a couple of UI and UX issues. So without further ado, let's see how we solve those for you. So session attendance tracking can be turned on a per seminar activity basis, and then this creates a separate table that you can mark each session individually. So if I just show you this little video here of how it works. So this is a session right here. You can mark the attendance on that one, and then you can go to another session and do the same. So this doesn't necessarily cause automatic event attendance, because we know that there will probably be many different scenarios for different organizations for what a fully attended event actually means for them. Perhaps it's attending 8 out of 10 sessions, or doing a 5, and then you have an optional 3 that you can do as well. So there's so many different scenarios that we decided to try and keep this as simple as possible for you guys. Then there's this overview screen when you're in the event dashboard, which shows you where the event attendance is taken. Okay. If there aren't any questions, I'll move on to the next solution.
So
okay, so the next solution is that we know that marking attendance in Totra 12 and before that meant that you wait until the exact minute that attendance needed to be marked. But we want to enable you, even if you want to just mark at the beginning of a session, it actually now means 15 minutes before the start time. So effectively, you can mark attendance as people arrive rather than within the actual training time, which hopefully helps you. But then again, as well, there's many different combinations of these settings that you can now use, whether you can unrestrict it and mark these at any time, or the beginning of a session or the end of a session, etc.
Cool. So we just got a question from Jesper. So Jesper asks, is there a way to show more than first and last name? There's a need to show organizations or email or more.
No, not at the moment. So I know that there was a community post by Rachel about this, asking whether we could add an extra column into the attendance tracking section, but unfortunately, because of the way that this table is, we can't make that really flexible because it's not report builder table, so it's been quite hard. However, in the future, I don't know how long this will take, but we are trying to create sort of a mini profile summary where you hover over the person's name and then you can dictate what should appear in there. So that's coming in the future, but we'll see when that can land in seminars. But I definitely do take your point in mind. And if you don't mind, within the product forum for this webinar, it would be awesome if you could tell me which columns from a user profile that would be most important to you, because we can see what we can do.
Thanks, Jesper. Sweet.
Okay. All right. So then if we move on to the new attendance status, it's called unable to attend. And this is going to show in any of the other places that the other attendance statuses do. It does have an automatic grade of 0. But again, I know that there were organizations that were trying their best to report on this kind of thing, and it was quite difficult because perhaps some organizations, if people no-show, they still charge them for something, whereas if they're authorized and able to attend, it would be a pass. So for instance, if you're restricting signups and things like that, you could restrict subsequent signups for no-shows, but leave the unable to attend to be able to show up. So there's a few scenarios where this can be quite useful, and if unable to attend doesn't suit your needs, you can of course just change that language in those language strings as well. Any questions on that?
Nope.
Okay, we're getting through this quite quickly. All right, so we have some new grading options available within seminars. So if you would like to decouple the current automatic grading that is applied to a seminar attendance status, i.e. partially attended 50, fully attended 100, you can do that by, in the seminar settings, then taking the manual event grading setting that we've offered. This is on a per seminar instance, so this can be different between different seminars, which means then you can apply a passing grade, which can be part of the completion criteria. Here, this is how it is shown within the table if you decide to turn it on. So you could always say to somebody, they need to be fully attended and have a grade of at least 80%. in order for this to trigger an activity completion, which then you can, of course, report on. Okay, as we just said, that this grading is another activity completion, but on top of that as well, just to try and help with, there's a lot of talk in the community about seminar activity completions triggering a course completion accidentally because somebody has been marked as fully attended when they weren't intended to be. So what we've done is we've added another trigger that if you guys want to use it, you can, to trigger an activity completion after X number of days. So in this example here, it says 14. So it means that you can mark the attendance at any time based on the settings that you've got for when marking attendance can happen. And then the activity completion will be triggered X number of days afterwards. I don't think this would be helpful for everyone, but I think that there's a significant portion of our subscribers that have kind of a centralized attendance marking, and they just want to make sure that the right status is applied without any rework going through the course completion settings and editing it or anything like that. So just try to give you something extra to help out with that. Okay. The next thing that we've done is create a bulk CSV upload for your event attendance tracking. And a lot of the times in Totara, we've noticed that if you download a CSV, for instance, for organization or position hierarchies or something like that, it's not always easy to fill in the gaps and then just re-upload that same CSV. So what we've tried to do and endeavor to do in this design is give you this button here, which is CSV for export. And then if you click on that, it's going to give you a CSV looking something like this. It will have the sign-up ID, so we're not worried then about personal identifiable information. So this comes straight from the system, so we know who they are. The learner name, and then also columns ready for event attendance status and event grade. So all you have to do then is fill in what the event attendance status was and the grade, and there's some nice instructions down here. If you're already preparing the CSV outside of the system, you can use username or ID number or email, so that it's easy, whichever system works best for you. And then a little key about what these attendance statuses are, so just a number, and then the event grade. So easy peasy, pop it back into the CSV, drag and drop, then you get a nice confirmation page like this, and then you're fully attended, fully marked on the event attendance.
Awesome, that looks great, especially with those instructions as well.
Yeah, we're just trying to make some of these things a lot easier for end users, especially because we know that a lot of people want to start devolving power or create very complex seminar programs. Mm-hmm. So yeah, whatever we can do in that area. Seems like we're not getting a lot of questions today, so we might get through this a little bit quickly, but I'll just keep going. So on the, one question there, no?
Yes, another one from Jesper. So if multi-session, if there are multiple sessions, can you upload all that in one batch?
No, so you can only at the moment with this upload event attendance, not sessions. So sessions are like in a table. So I just come back to here just to show you. So sessions are in a table like this. They're very simple, and they're simply for us to be able to track cumulative statuses. So then they go into, they tell you how many each of these people have attended and how many are yet to be marked. But once you have these figures here, you can do a batch, a big upload. But I know people might be taking some of this attendance on, I don't know, sign-up sheets and all kinds of other stuff. So we just want to make sure that for very large events that people can upload attendance.
Sweet. We've got another question from Tammy. So Tammy's asking, is anyone using barcode scanners for seminar attendance? So maybe we can share if we know anything about that, or this might be a question that we open up to some of the people attending this seminar as well. If anyone has any experience using barcode scanners, we can share something as well.
I know that there's definitely some subscribers doing it, but I still think it's quite advanced for some organizations to be able to get into. But you should definitely post this in the either the product updates forum or into the general discussions for subscribers, because I'm sure that there's somebody out there. And I know that there's definitely one particular partner that told me that they can do this. Whether or not it's fully implemented, I'm unsure.
It would be a great move moving towards taking your own attendance and then being able to kind of mark that yourself.
I mean, it's very interesting as well, because the future of mobile potentially could do those things by just knowing what your location is, or a user saying I've checked in, or something like that. Seminars won't be native in the first version of mobile, but it's definitely a consideration.
Cool. Yeah. I've got another question from Jeremy. So Jeremy asks, currently there isn't API coverage for seminars. Will there be in TOTO13?
No. Sorry, Jeremy. We focus the GraphQL efforts on APIs on everything that will be in mobile, and all of the new products are being built from scratch, making sure that they include the APIs. But unfortunately, seminars won't have them initially, but because it's definitely something that I think should come into mobile, hopefully in the near future, that that'll be built as soon as possible.
Sweet. Cool. That's it for the questions so far. So we'll move on to the next slide for that.
Okay. Okay. There we go. Let's go through. Okay, so finally for this webinar, there's just a few UX changes that I wanted to show you for administrators. So on the events dashboard, which usually is that very long list of upcoming and previous events, we've added several filters here to help with that. So there's new event filters for upcoming, in progress, previous, waitlisted, and cancelled. There's also some advanced features around those events and sessions that are due for attendance to be taken, and other ones where attendance is already saved, and also over and under the max capacity stuff. So essentially, we're just trying to add some more filters to help admins navigate the tasks that they'll need to complete, especially in more mature sites that reuse seminar activities for many events for many years. We also just tried to, the table was very content heavy. So what we tried to do was take out a lot of that visual clutter and just create the event kind of administration with the kind of ellipsis icon there as well.
Cool, it looks great.
Thanks. Also, there's something that I wanted to share with you. It shouldn't really be groundbreaking, but it feels like it.
It definitely is.
For those mature sites as well, we have arranged upcoming events to show the earliest next date, and previous events to be sorted in the opposite way to show the most recently finished events, which I'm kind of doing an applause at right now.
Cool. Just got a question from Stuart. So are there more filters available on the event listing page for end users?
Yes. So what we'll do in the next webinar, which makes me feel like maybe I should have combined them all together with the number of attendees today, but in the next webinar, what we'll do is we'll go through all the seminar resource management stuff, what we'll be doing, i.e. rooms and facilitators, and also look at the improved workflows for the learners. So some of those filters will still be there for the learners as well. Yeah.
Sweet.
Okay.
Cool.
I'll just say this one more thing, and then we take the rest of the questions. Still kind of the last piece of content. And I don't know if everybody has noticed it yet, but backported to version 10, 11, and 12 is this previous events time period setting, which is, I think, is on a global level, which basically allows you to restrict the number of days for past events to show. So you can see that it appears here in the past events, and you can also do show all. This should help with performance and load time, and also not making that page ginormous if it's not necessarily to see it every time you visit that page. Yep.
Awesome. So Jesper asked us, do past events need to be shown to regular attendees? Not quite sure I understand that question.
I think she's asking, do past events show to attendees rather than trainers and stuff?
Yes, but if you have time just before we finish, if you could just elaborate on that question, then we can squeeze that one in as well. Okay. Cool.
All right. So what we'll talk about in our next webinar is, like we just said, we've added something called facilitators, which essentially is what everybody was using the asset column for, to add trainers in per session, and also improve some of those UIs for learners and a few improved UX workflows as well. So I'd love to show you that next week.
Cool.
All right.
Sweet. Well, I think those are all the questions we have for today, unless anyone's sitting with something they'd like to squeeze in. Oh, there's one there. Is there new reports linked to seminars?
Yeah, good question. So definitely. So there's not necessarily new reports, but what we've done is clean up all of the older stuff around face-to-face and made sure all of that is gone. And also insisting on adding event ID as a column, so you guys have more to work with as far as knowing which seminar sessions should be clustered together. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks, Ben.
Cool. All right. Well, I think that's everything that we have for today. Is that right?
Yeah, that's all the content today.
Cool.
If anybody has any questions about what's been shown so far, just pop a comment in the updates forum.
Cool. And thanks to everyone who was asking questions and adding some comments to the webinar today. If anyone is listening to the recording and has some questions on any of the stuff we've covered, like we said, you can always ask those questions in the forum. And if we're seeing that there's quite a lot of similar questions, we'll be adding them into the FAQs with some more detail as well. You're also welcome to contact Chloe, who's been the product manager for the seminar work. And yeah, please join us for the future webinars we have coming up on some of the other work that's been done on seminars as well.
Okay.
Cool.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.